Howdy, my name is Elaine Harding, and I am one of the city producers for the Austin 48-Hour Film Project, part of the hashtag Texas 48 Strong collaboration with Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. Today, we'll be speaking with Rob Mabry of Team Bright Eye Pictures from San Antonio. Rob's team has been working together for 5 years, and their first 48-hour film project was in 2017. So let's meet Rob. Rob, thank you for joining us. Your team name is called Bright Eye Pictures, is that correct?
That's right.
Excellent. And tell us about yourself.
Sure. Been a filmmaker for about 5 years. I've always been a writer. That's kind of like from when I was a kid, drawing comic books. Had a dream, at one time to be a big Hollywood screenwriter, and that didn't quite work out. But I continued to write and always wanted to, see what I wrote on the screen. And so I started, kind of playing around with the camera that I had, doing some videos, and then I heard about this contest to make a movie in 2 days. And so I thought, well, this is it. This is my, shot to write something and film it and actually see it on the screen. And so that's kind of how I was drawn into the 48.
Excellent. And 2017 was your first go round?
Yeah, 2017. I was a team leader, and I produced the film that we did. It was called Cutthroat. Mm-hmm. I was also a writer on the project, and was really fortunate to get two really talented people that had some experience. One was the director of photography. His name is Clint Howard, and then our director, Katriva Phillips. And they had done several projects before. And so I just kind of got to sit back and, my role was really, lining up the locations and getting the cast together and being a producer.
Right.
But I also, was able to observe them and learn the process. And, that gave me some knowledge and confidence to direct and take on some other roles in the subsequent 48s.
And y'all have been participating ever since?
Yeah. Last year, we did a film called Felt So Good, which the poster is actually right there. We drew the politics genre and kind of bent that genre to our will a little bit. I had always had this idea in my head that I wanted to do a story about a guy who turns into a puppet. And so it felt so good. It's about a guy who's the candidate for mayor. He's running for re-election, and in the middle of the election, he gets turned into a puppet because he is scheming with a crime boss to take over a fortune teller's business to build a nightclub. So that was the premise for it. It actually is going to screen at the Austin Comedy Film Festival this upcoming weekend and won Best Texas Comedy. So we were excited about, getting that recognition, especially for something that, we did in 48 hours. And when I say we, I'm part of a filmmaker collective in San Antonio called the Alamo Film Group. Mm-hmm. A bunch of just like-minded filmmakers. Our motto is make your movie. So, we try to get out there. And I think this past year, we made about a half dozen films.
Nice.
But, things haven't been great during this COVID time.
Yeah.
But, who wants to talk about that?
Did y'all participate in any of the Stuck at Home 48s?
I did a couple. I've got 2 daughters,
Uh-huh.
and so we did do a couple of those challenges. We did a little short called Where's Mom? It's my 2 daughters, and they just seem to be putting a snack together and watching TV, and then I, the dad, come home and ask where mom is, and turns out that they've eaten her because of the difficulty getting groceries. So I guess.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Tells you a little bit about my sensibility.
I have two teenagers myself, so I can relate. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I definitely want to see that one. What was the name of that one again?
Where's Mom?
Where's Mom? Okay, I'll have to. Is it on online anywhere?
Yeah, I think it is, and I'll get it to you.
Okay, cool. I would love to see that. Um, let's see. So you said you've been working together for quite a few years. Where do you usually get your cast for your films? I know this year is going to be a little different, but
Yeah. So I actually use a site called Backstage.com, and I find that there's a lot of great talent out there, and it's a good way to get the word out. And over time, right? Like you build relationships with people, and you find that you want to work with the same people again. And the 48 is a great opportunity to do that.
absolutely.
So for this year, everybody in the cast are people that I've worked with on other projects, which makes it a lot of fun. It's like getting the gang back together and
Yeah.
just having a good and really stressful time.
Gotcha. So let's see. Tell us about the equipment that you usually use.
So I've got a Blackmagic 4K, which I really, really love that camera. I started out with the Panasonic Lumix GH4, which served me well for a while, and then I got the original Blackmagic, and I'm like, I'm a bit of a gearhead, but I've kind of gotten to the point where I bought all the lights that I could buy, and I've got my camera that I like and that I trust, and it's important to me and it's fun, and I like that aspect of it, the gear. But I would say to people, like, you can do it on your phone. It's not so much about the equipment, as it is about your vision and what you want to accomplish, and just getting out there and doing it. I think that's like I find a lot of people in my circle of friends and filmmakers who like to be involved, and they want to do it, but there's just something standing in their way that they won't just let themselves go out and make a mistake, right? Like if you look at the first things that you did, they're terrible. And doing it in 48 hours makes it that much more of a challenge. But just
Indeed.
go out and do it. It doesn't matter what kind of camera you have.
Yeah, I always tell my kids that you learn more from your mistakes than you learn from your successes anyway. So
Yes, for sure. And I have made plenty of those through the 48 and life. So.
Gotcha. What cinematic techniques do you tend to use?
That's a good question. I think like I try not to overcomplicate things, and to me, like put the camera on a tripod. That works most of the time for me. I'm not somebody who tries to do a lot of visual kind of whiz bang stuff with the camera. I will say I really like visual effects, and so that is something that in every movie that I've done, with the 48, I've tried to do something, and the first one I did was Cutthroat, and we drew action, and so it was simple stuff like muzzle flashes, in the pistol, but just a little something to give it a little bit more authenticity.
Right.
And then the next year we did time travel, and so we did quite a bit of time portal type special effects, which was cool. And then it felt so good. We did some effects around a crystal ball that this fortune teller uses. So I don't know. It's adding, like, you don't need it, and it's adding kind of pressure with the 48, because when you're doing effects and you've got to render them and it takes time. It's like why add that? Why add that stress to it? But I just like to see it on the screen.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's your storytelling method?
Um, I've read more screenwriters books than I can count, and if I was gonna recommend one to people, screenplay by Sid Field, I think is the best book out there.
Hmm.
But there are lots of great ones. Um, when I'm writing like a feature length thing, then I do tend to, use note cards and plot things out and, make sure I've got the 3 act structure and, hitting the, kind of, plot points. And so I do kind of follow that structure for
Hmm.
the 48 and a short film. Like I just kind of have it in my head. I make sure that I have an ending, and I find that's when or I should. There have been times when when I really haven't nailed down what that ending is, and if I'm not writing towards that, then I know I can get myself in trouble. So
Yes.
that is one thing I would say, like, know what your ending is, and write to that ending. Otherwise, you can just go off in directions that you don't want to.
True. I like a movie with a good ending. I've seen a lot of films where the writing is incredible, the acting is incredible, the cinematography is incredible, but in the end, you're not real sure what the point was,
Yep.
and you don't know where they're going from there, and it just kind of leaves you feeling unsatisfied. So yeah, I really like a good satisfying ending. And I think you're the third person who said definitely make sure you have an ending in mind.
Yeah, and beginning, middle, end, but
Hmm.
end is most important. You've got to have a destination to go to.
I agree. So what are your top 3 tips for making a compelling short film in 48 hours?
Um, prepare, and these are compelling. Like um, I, I think a lot of it really kind of comes down to just the fundamentals,
Hmm.
of filmmaking, and if you are drawing that genre out of the hat and then figuring out who's going to be in it and what location you're going to use, then you are in really big trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't you can't write anything before you start at 7 o'clock or 7:30, whatever it is, Friday night.
Hmm.
But you can prepare and you can nail down locations, and you can make sure that you have a cast and crew and that they understand where they're going to be and how things are going to work. So just preparation, I think, is really important. um, Keeping a good vibe on the set, and being positive. It's just a pressure cooker when
Hmm.
you are trying to get everything done in 48 hours. They're like, I've never experienced anything like it before. Just the intense pressure that you feel, to get to finish. And so it's really important, if you are the leader of the team, that you're amping people up and setting a good example, and making sure that everybody is feeling good about what they're doing, and that
Hmm.
everybody is working in the same direction. I've never had things fall apart, but I'm surprised, like when I'm turning in my USB with my film on it on Sunday, how many stories I hear about how things just went
Oh
completely
yeah.
sideways. So
I've
um,
heard quite a few horror stories myself. My co-producer Kara Marty, she we first met when she was a team lead, and she came to the drop off, and the poor girl was in tears. She her team had just kind of bailed on her. Her editor had given her something that was completely not what she had asked for. She'd made up storyboards and everything, and so she was just devastated. And I was like, you know what, hey, you tried, it's okay, better luck next time. And the next time she volunteered to help out, and I never let her leave. So but
nice.
yeah, we've all been there. When I did one of the Stuck at Home 48s with my two kids and my mother, and oh my goodness, that their patience lasted maybe an hour, and that was it. So I had to take the shots that I'd gotten and just really play with them. And I'd never edited a film before. So it was a kind of a trial by fire, learn on the job kind of thing. And yeah, it was stressful, but I'm happy with the results. So that's what matters. Let's see, is there anything you're going to do differently this year than in the past?
Other than the kind of limitations of COVID and
Yeah.
trying to be as safe as possible. I have, talking about keeping it simple, but like depending on what genre I get, I really want to do something that is all green screen.
Ooh,
So
very cool.
if I got film noir, that would be a genre where I would go totally Robert Rodriguez, Sin City. Let's just try to shoot the entire thing in green screen. One of the things that I've done over the past couple months is I've done a web series. It's called Legion of Terror HR, and it's about an HR director for a group of supervillains.
Okay.
Council of supervillains. So like he's dealing with all of the petty HR BS, for all of these different supervillains, and probably 75% of it is shot with green screen.
Uh-huh.
And so I just got really into that and feel pretty confident working that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking, just like let's see if we could do it, and the only thing that scares me about it is it's all visual effects, right? Everything
Right.
has to render, so it's definitely taking a risk, but it also means shooting in one location and hopefully being able to get that part done pretty quickly. So
True.
Anyway, if it's the right genre, then I would really like to do something that's all green screen. If it doesn't go that way, I don't know. I'm always like thinking about all of the genres, and
Right.
I really do try to adhere to the rules of the competition, and I don't write anything before I draw my genre. But what I do like to do is think about all of the possible genres I could get, and
Mm-hmm.
then I know who my cast is. I
Right.
know what locations I have, and I'm just thinking about, okay, if it was this, who would these actors be, and
Right.
what would we do in this location? And so it's just an exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually found like probably over the last 2 years, I would say 5 or 6 of the short film scripts that I've written are from ideas that I ended up not being able to do, or I didn't
Right.
pick that genre, but I liked the idea enough that I wrote the script and have actually wrote some.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with coming into the project with ideas. There's a filmmaker in Orlando who told us that one of his biggest award winners at various film festivals started out as a dream. He woke up from a dream and he's like, okay, if I ever pull drama, that's the story I'm going to tell. And the next year he participates in several of them. So the next year he pulled drama in one of them and ran with it. And apparently it's been very successful. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So you're still looking for a location, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have some options, people's houses that they're willing to let us come in, but
That's good.
I haven't quite figured out, like, I'm considering renting a campsite. I shot a horror comedy called The Tuckering, which was about a serial killer who was too out of shape to catch anybody. And I was fortunate enough to work with a guy who had some private land that he rented out as a campsite
Hmm.
on a site called Hip Camp. And I asked him, hey, would you let us come out there and shoot? And he was like, yeah, sure. And the camping site was pretty affordable. So I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing that and having a place where if I wanted to shoot exteriors, if I got horror, I could do camping thing. If I got fantasy, I'd have the woods. So I try to find locations that could be versatile and work for a lot of different genres. Yeah, anyway,
Cool.
it's just I try to be prepared.
There you go. And I noticed you said that you and your wife are involved in cosplay, so sounds like you've got costumes under control. Can you tell us some of your experiences working with costumes?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's just another one of those things where Comic Cons, I don't know when they'll be back, and
Oh
that
gosh, I know.
kind of hurts. But I talked a little bit about Legion of Terror HR, and that
Hmm.
was one of the ways that I have funneled my passion for cosplay, to be able to make supervillain costumes.
Right.
So I've done a bit of that. Um, and I use mostly something called EVA foam, which is like foam floor mats. And if you heat it up and shape it,
Hmm.
when it cools, it keeps its shape. And
Oh,
probably like 90% of what you see at a Comic Con, the costumes, the armor that people make
yeah.
is made out of that foam, and probably a lot of Hollywood costumes as well. So yeah, that a lot of glue and spray paint, and you can do a lot of stuff. And I won't ever be able to touch my wife's costumes because like those are her babies, and
Right.
she's loaned me a few things over my filmmaking career, but most of it is like, no, you can't touch that. If I want it, I will make it myself. But
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I'll grab whatever pieces I have lying around and throw together a costume. There's no time to sit there and try to build a costume when you've only got 48
Yeah,
hours to do it.
good point. Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time in my 20s hanging out at various sci-fi conventions and just all over Texas. So that's kind of my second love is
Nice.
fandom. So um, let's see. What do you do for music in your films?
So I use a couple of sites, and then there's the sites I use are artlist.io and musicbed, and and that is another thing that I do ahead of time is just sort of listen to the music that's available, and see if anything grabs me, or that I might want to use or might inspire me. And then there is something called Filmstro, which is kind of a drag and drop, allows you to be a composer, I
Oh
guess.
wow.
You can change the intensity of a musical piece, and the momentum of it, and the depth of it. So there's a couple of things, just sliders that you can change the pace. I'm not much of a musician, so I don't know that I can do it justice. But you
Yeah.
drop a video clip onto this timeline, and then you can just kind of adjust the pace and intensity of the music. And I've used that frequently on my projects. I think it's pretty cool.
Very cool. And what new guidelines and such are you planning to use in this era of COVID?
Um, well, I mean, I'm going to have a lot fewer people than I would normally have on my crew and
Hmm.
on my cast. Um, I like last year, I took the 48 as an opportunity to include a lot of people who are in the Alamo Film Group that I'm a part of,
Right.
who had never participated before. And so we had a huge crew. I just don't think that it's wise or realistic to do that. And other than that, you know, making sure that we have hand sanitizer, that we're cleaning up, that we're wearing our masks, all of the sensible stuff that we do, grocery shopping,
Right.
needs to be done on the set as well.
Have you seen the Safe Set certification?
I have. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Haven't gone through it yet, but I would recommend that anybody who's planning on doing this do that.
Yeah, we've been telling people it's not necessarily a requirement, but we're heavily recommend going through it. Just it's a good FYI if nothing else. So.
Yep, for sure.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Oh, I wanted to ask you, because it's interesting. My next interview is with Jason Futrell. Was he part of your team last year?
No, I don't know Jason.
Okay, because apparently he does a lot of puppetry. So that.
So I think I've probably seen his film before. I know that there's a participant in San Antonio who his thing is using puppets. So,
okay.
He probably thought we were horning in on his thing when we did our puppet movie. But
okay.
we only had one puppet.
It's always fun to have a little rivalry in there somewhere. Okay, so yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to share with us, please do.
I will just promote the project that I have going on. It's called Legion of Terror HR. It's on Vimeo. It's on YouTube. Episodes are anywhere from like 4 minutes to 7 minutes, so they're not long. If you are into workplace comedies or you are into comic books and supervillains, then it's probably your thing. And so go check it out.
Very cool. I've already got it up on Google, so I will be checking that out.
Awesome.
And I wanted to mention we are having a virtual meet and greet on Sunday, so if you have time to stop in, we'd love to have you there. Introduce you around to some of our other regulars, and let's see.
I saw that. So it's at 2:00 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm still working on some other events, but right now nothing cemented yet. But stay tuned. I'll be sharing it with all the other cities in Texas as well. So, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, it's great talking to you.
Good talking to you too. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to know more about the 48-Hour Film Project, follow the links in the description below to learn how you can register a team, join a team, or attend one of our virtual events or screenings. Feel free to comment below with any questions you may have for us, for Team Bright Eye Pictures, or for teams we interview in the future. We'll address those questions as soon as possible. Y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see you in October.